wake up, I have my breakfast, and based on I'm working from home or I go to the university, I begin with my work. But evenings are comparatively more relaxed, wherein I maybe hang out with my friends, then cook something for myself, and at the end of the day, just chill with
my day starts at around like 6 o'clock, where I wake up for workout and stuff. And once you work out, I make breakfast for myself, which I'm sure every international student has to do. And then we have to get straight to the assignments. So I usually spend some time in the morning for assignments, because that's like fresh. That's when I'm fresh, and that's when I'm most eager to work on challenging problems. Afternoons are usually post lunch, once you cook, clean, and eat. Post that, I usually have lectures. So I usually have a class from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and I have another class from 5 to 7 in the evening.
So food in Singapore is a big issue. Indian food in general is a big issue. So instead of buying food, which would become expensive, I started cooking. So I'm actually cooking quite a lot just to make up. Yeah, that's one major thing that I've done. Saving money, because obviously it's an international country. So from rupees to dollars, it actually goes up. So saving a lot, but also knowing that it is going to go up anyways. So you have to adjust. That's one thing. So food, money. The other thing is Singapore as a country is well known for walking. So it's much easier to get cabs and things like that. In India, it's a little difficult over there. So it's a lot of walking in Singapore.
And the first one, definitely that comes to my mind, is adjusting with the cold environment. So just be ready for it. And since it just unexpectedly rains anytime, I always really have to look at the forecast before I leave, which I never did back in India. The second thing is more on the living style, wherein I really have to take care of everything on my own, right from like cooking to cleaning, taking care of myself, my health, which is a really, really big change, because I could seek a lot of help in India. And the third would be more on the attitude level, wherein I saw that people here, because there's a lot of influence from different cultures. So Zurich is more of a German part. So people are really direct. So if there is something that they want to convey to you, they won't take like an indirect route. They'll just tell you right on your faces that, yeah, this is how things need to be done, and this is what we want, which is definitely a bit different from all that I've experienced my whole life.
So that's like two different lectures at two different intervals, and between these two lectures, I barely get time to move from one position on campus to the other position, because most of the campuses here, and especially my campus, they're huge. So it takes a lot of time from going from one position to the other, and so after actually sitting for two lectures, you're pretty exhausted in the day, and so either you go out for dinner, like you get a takeout, or basically I cook food at home. And once I'm done with dinner, it's again solving homework for some other subject or for some other course. And then later at night, you get some spare time where you can do whatever you want, like some people watch movies, or some people can also do their extra research, or anything else which they want to do apart from their curriculum or academics. So that's how a normal day looks like.
One of the most important things is you're working with people from different nationalities. So you have to take care of their own biases. You have to take care of their own sort of mentalities in general. At the same time, you also have to. So you have to be more accommodated of other people's different cultures and everything. At the same time, you should also make sure that your own culture is shown properly. Yeah. Amongst people. So that's a lot of things. Meet people of lots of communities. Yeah. That's one thing. The other thing is the way they work, like the way Singaporean people work in general, is a lot different. So their timing is different, the way they work. So it's more of an outcome-based sort of work, at least. So unlike India, where you maybe have to prove, I have to. They document a lot of things. In Singapore, for example, they don't document a lot. They actually base it on outcome. You don't necessarily have to work at a fixed time, but as long as you get the outcomes done, I think they'll be fine with it, even if you work late. the evening, and that's one thing. So adjusting with the Singaporean sort of work culture. Yeah. And the other thing is in general, like changes in lifestyle in general. So uh, either you cook or you buy food that's either very expensive or unhealthy. So there's a lot of lifestyle changes in general. So if you go unhealthy, you obviously can't work. So that's something over there that you have to learn, you have to pick up and adapt. Otherwise, yeah.
The first would be independence in all terms, because as I mentioned again before, I have to like really take care of everything on my own, and be it like in terms of traveling as well, I have to be really take care of the fact that I'm at places on time, because even if you're 5 minutes late, it can make a huge difference in a lot of scenarios. So that is something in terms of independence in dealing with all the areas of life. Along with that, something that I really took care of is my health. Because in terms of I was totally bad at sports. I mean, I'm still not good or great at sports, but I do take out time to maybe work out or do something so that I am taking care of my health and also eating a lot healthier than I did before. And so that is one important learning as well. And the third would be I'm able to manage my finances now in a way, and really careful with my spendings, as well as I'm also doing a student assistant job in order to be able to earn something, because living in Switzerland is super expensive as a student. So that is another thing. So learning to manage my expenses is, I think, a great personal achievement for me.
Firstly, I would say that networking is a art or is a learning which is very important. We do not network enough in India, I feel, for jobs, for anything else. We always shy to network, and that is something which has changed here. The second learning which I got is that your research has to be very, very solid, and you have to go out of your way to learn more things, develop new skill sets, and stay up to date with what is going on in your college, what is going on in the industry, what is going on in the country, etc., etc. So research has to definitely be very cutting edge, and you have to be updated about each and everything. That is definitely a learning which I would say. And I would also say that I think it is better if we learn to multitask.
If I talk about academics, just like that, it's just a trust, to be honest. They trust you enough to provide you enough funding for research. Unfortunately, in India, there's a lot to do to get the same amount of money. That's what I've noticed. So once you build up that trust and everything, it's a lot easier to do research of uh, high potential, and at the same time, the industry academic sort of collaboration is much higher compared to that in India. So the university I work with I mean, it's much easy for them to do industry collaborations. For example, the government has a lot of initiatives. That's on the academic side. On the non-academic side, I feel, I mean, the infrastructure in general makes you feel good. There's a lot of things. For example, I have certain dietary requirements. For example, I would need halal food or something like that. So the government recognizes all of those things. It has enough places for worship and everything around the campus itself and things like that. So even in India, sometimes it might be a little difficult, but in Singapore, it's much easier actually. So I'm a really spiritual sort of person. I mean, it's a very important element in my life, and it's a lot easier to practice in Singapore.
I think like maybe not just in terms of country, but also university and sometimes even the course that I'm doing. So I would say that the course that I've took is energy science and technology for my master's. And the difference is that several universities do offer something in energy science, but they are not doing it in such an interdisciplinary way, which is being done at ETH, which was really crucial for me, because I just did not wish to stick to engineering as a branch, but also learn more than only looking at from an engineering perspective. So that would be one. Apart from that, also it is in terms of like achieving independence, because there are a lot of opportunities in terms of like going for student positions in order to maybe like finance your own studies, which at least like I did not see a lot of opportunities back home or even in the US, as I heard from my friends. It's not that easy in all of the labs, but here I see like almost everyone does that.
So speaking about what the country has to offer, I would definitely say this country really lives experiences. So people value experiences a lot here. So sports and hobbies are given a lot of preference, like surfing, hiking. This is something which is not commonly witnessed in India. Hiking trails and something which we don't commonly do, and we do not appreciate nature and such kind of activities, outdoor activities. That is one thing. Speaking about academics, so it is very interesting to see what kind of startups, what startups are doing in the US, and what technologies are being used, and in fact what technologies and what skill sets are being highly demanded out here in the country. Another thing which I would say is that sports is definitely something which is very different from India. In India, we follow 2-3 sports primarily. Out here, the sports are very different because they follow ice hockey, basketball, something which we don't follow so commonly in India. So this country has to offer a lot in those terms. And one more thing is diversity, which I think US especially has a lot to offer in terms of diversity, where you get to meet new and different set of people.
It's the opposite. So what happened was I actually was born in UAE. I was raised over there. So I was an NRI from start. I just did my undergraduate in India, undergraduate studies in India. So it was in fact a cultural shock for me to come to India and do my bachelor's. So when I went to Singapore, it was a little bit, I guess it was a little, call it was really similar to how I was. So in fact, it was a step back and it was better. Yeah.
It was definitely, like the prices of everything in the supermarkets, you go, it's like they're so high. And I was like, and in my head, I was just always converting everything. That was something I was just not able to get over for at least like 2 or 3 months. And that is why, like, whenever I talk to people, students, they were most of them were also like working part-time, and I was like, what is this obsession with working part-time? But then I also realized, so which was kind of like different from like my previous university as well, and most of the people I've talked to in India. So that was a great change for me. But yeah, so that was definitely something. And in terms of like overall adjustment, in terms of like moving from home and coming here,
the environment is more casual with professors especially, and with the higher ups. It's a more casual environment where you can call them by the middle name, by the first name. You can go out for coffee or for beer or something with them. So that is something where they actually bond and where they actually make connections. And this is something which I was not sure about, and this is a cultural shock which I faced. Second thing is, things are very expensive out here, I feel. Say for example, an Uber ride. Uber is, I think, 10 times more expensive out here as compared to what I would say in Mumbai, at least. So yeah, stuff in general, given the conversion rate, is very expensive. Another cultural shock is that, as I said, everything gets shut very early. They're early to rise, and stuff is not open so late at night as you would expect in a lot of parts of India.
COVID, mainly COVID. That was a main challenge, I feel. Other challenges pale in comparison. So, as I said, for 2.5 years, I was just there. I couldn't travel back. So, a lot of major events like weddings, this, that, so a lot of events got cancelled just for the sake of, continuing my education and staying there. Because of that, I was able to fast track my master's and everything. So, right now, I'm doing my PhD.
First one, as I said, I really missed home. So living so far away from my parents, because I come from Varanasi, and like moving for bachelor's to Gujarat in itself was like quite a long distance for me, because I'd lived my whole life with them. But then just suddenly going to another continent, I did miss my family a lot. So that would be the first one. And in terms of challenges inside Zurich, housing is a great challenge. You will be, I don't know how to put this, but it's amazing how scarce the housing situation is in a student dominated city. So that is absolutely crazy, and the prices are always skyrocketing. So that was second challenge. And third would be, I would say in the beginning, it was a bit hard to also adjust to the academic lifestyle, because it was really theoretical for me in the beginning. And also in India, I had lots of continuous evaluation, but here, like, everything depended on one final exam in most of the courses that I took. So I think, like, in academic sense as well, there was a bit of difference, which I found challenging initially.
There's definitely been a lot of, there's definitely been a lot of time which I took to adjust to the US system of studies. Like the course structures and the assignments and stuff out here is very different. So I think that was the biggest challenge which I faced. Another thing is transport. Everything in this country is spread wide apart. Everything takes a really long time to commute and stuff, and the public transport is not so good. And being an Indian student, I don't have a car to access yet. So the transportability and the commutability is very limited, and that is a big challenge which I face every day. And another challenge which I usually face is that in tax filing and in such finance aspects, where something which I've not done in the past, especially because I came directly from undergrad. So tax filing and such other documents, legal procedures do take a lot of time, and it's challenging.
One thing, I think this applies for any other country as well, but mainly for Singapore, is that, okay, so if you want to do a master's, it's best to do it on a field that is maybe not your current one. So if your undergraduate studies is in mechanical engineering, just doing a master's in mechanical engineering may not make sense if it's a non-thesis based course. So it's just doing the same subjects, maybe at a higher level. If it's for the sake of certification that you want to go, okay, then that's, if you really want to learn something new, to do something good, might as well do it in a subject that's a little new from you. So, for example, you would want to do it in robotics, for example, and not just mechanical engineering. Changing a little bit is fine as long as it's somewhere in the realm of your undergraduate expertise, right? That's one thing. Research students in particular, I advise them to apply for PhD first, because the application process itself would, and if you do get selected at the end, it tells you that if you're fit for a PhD or not. So people have that initial sort of doubts whether they are up for the full thing or not. But my advice is the university committee decides you're fit. So you might want to try it out. Maybe just apply for a PhD if you're really into research or you think you would do well in research. But if it's just like a professional master's, you want to only then go for master's. So that would be my advice. This is based on all my experiences in India.
My first advice, which would be a bit more general and not just moving in terms of Zurich, would be find something that you're like really into before you take a decision to move outside, because that's the truth that I also realized at several points in my life, that I was missing a lot at home. You will be missing a lot of different events at home, lots of weddings, and you will be away from your relatives and a lot of friends you meet. So be sure that you really love what you're trying to do, so that would make the pain of missing out on things a bit less. It won't take it away, but it will just make you feel that, yeah, you are at least doing something that you like and maybe also contributing to the society in some way. And in moving in Zurich, be really thorough with whatever you're studying, because in several engineering exams in India, it was kind of like students did take that practice of studying like maybe 1 week before. But I mean, here, at least I can speak of ETH Zurich and EPFL, that it can be really stressful, and you might need to like put in hours every day to study. So that is something that you should be ready for before you even think of applying. And also in terms of like maybe make steps in how you are probably going to try to manage your finances as well as your academics. Having a bit of an idea about a lot of things can help, and also do try and look for scholarships which are already available in India. They also help a lot. And look out for the courses that you will be looking at as well, because ETH offers a great deal of flexibility. So try to make the most of it because it is amazing. And also research a bit about the living style and the landscape. Some people find the cold really harsh, so they don't like it. And definitely the climate can affect a lot, because I know of people who left after one semester because they were not ready to like adjust. But yeah, otherwise, like Switzerland is very beautiful. I really liked meeting people of different countries, so that should be good for you.
Research deeply as to what you're interested in and who is the professor, or what is the career, short-term career path at least, which you want to follow, and make plans accordingly and reach out to professors and people in the domain and industry accordingly. I would also say that don't be shy to network with people. Networking is something which is really, really very essential, to survive here and, to grow and thrive here. So I think networking should be the most important thing, or it should be a very important thing which you take into consideration. And another thing I would say is that you should always be aware, and you should understand how the system works and what is going on in your college or in the world around you. Like what kind of projects are being executed, or how can you contribute to any of them and go out of your way apart from academics in order to make a bigger impact in the field you do or in the field you undertake.